So welcome back to the Web Coding. So in today's video, we're going to learn how to document your Express API using Swagger. So as you can see on the screen right here. So first we have the title of our documentation. This is like the route that we can make execute. And so you can see here this drop down of the APIs. Let's say if you're using in the local environment, you can choose your local host. If you're on production, you can choose select this one. And so you can execute right here. So right here, we're going to do post request. So I can execute and make request. So you can see we have create a new user, make a response body. And so this one is just list all the user. If I click execute right here, we have 3 user. And so we do this for the other 2. And all right, so I think that's pretty much it for the other, let's say for put, patch, and delete. I think once you learn all of this one, you can implement it by yourself. It will be your homework after watching this video. And I think that's pretty much it for this one. So let's get started. All right, so before we get started, so you can go into my repository right here. I'll leave the link in the description and clone the starter project, which is the master branch right here. So for this video, we're going to focus on writing the documentation for your REST API instead of building the API itself. So I have made a simple REST API already. So you can just clone this one, do yarn install and then yarn run dev. So here I'm using VS Code. You can use any ticket that you want, and I haven't clone and install and run everything already. And so as you can see right here, if we go into route user, so we can see this, we have 4 route, get all the user, create a new user, create a user using query, get a user by querying ID. And the last one is get user using path. And so to make the request to this API, you can using Postman, or you can use the extension in the VS Code itself called REST client. You can install it right here, this one. So when you install this one, you create the file called .http. And so you can see right here, we have this route that run on localhost 3000. So if you go in right here, this is our apps that we get, and then we run on 3000. And to make a request, you can just send a request. It will return all the user right here. And then if you want to create a new user, you can uncomment this one. You can come here. And then this is the payload. So you can just send a request and it's create a user. And to verify that, you can just go back and then get list all of the user again. So it's right now it's increasing 5. All right, so you can see this thing is okay, but it would be better like we can just run it on the Swagger like I show you on the demo. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's do that. So in order to do that, we have installed one of the dependency called Swagger UI Express. So as you can see right here. So once you have installed this one, we're gonna initialize it. So let's go into that. Let's go to apps. And so I'm gonna import this one. So import the Swagger docs equal to require. So it's gonna be Swagger Express UI. And for that, I can just app.use. So this is gonna be your documentation route. So I'm gonna do like, okay, the documentation / documentation. So you can right here, you can just / any route you want. And we're gonna do Swagger docs.serve. And the other one is gonna be the Swagger docs .setups. And this setup is going to be all of the documentation that we're going to put inside here. For now, I'm going to put this one blank. I'm going to create another folder on the source right here. It's going to be the helper. And we're going to do this one over, let's say, documentations.js. And this is contain all of the documentation that we're going to write to initials. All right, for now, we can't start to write this one first. Is I'm going to Swagger docs is going to be equal documentations is going to be equal to let's say this one you can do open API. So I'm going to do like we can use an open API or we can use Swagger. So I will do like open API version 0.3 right here. and then we can give like the info of our Swagger. So let's say we're gonna do like the title of it. So the title can be anything. I'm gonna do like demo, and then we're gonna have like a version of our API. So for our version, I'm gonna do, let's say 0.1. And so I think that's it for now. We're gonna focus on it. We're gonna come back and update this later. So export is gonna be Swagger documentation, okay? And go back into our app so we can import this one. So I'm gonna do const Swagger documentation equal to require. It's gonna be come from source / helper / documentation, and then you can use it, which is right here. Okay, so now when it's ready, you can go into localhost 3000 and /documentation. So I'm gonna go into here. So as you can see right now, we have initialized this one, our Swagger. So let's say we call it demo, and we not have any spec yet, so we will do it more. All right, if you're curious why I'm writing, let's say as you can see right here, info, how do I know that? So I can just reference to the Swagger editor right here. They have some example to show us. Let's say, as you can see right here, we have the info, and then this one, they're using Swagger instead of OpenAPI. So that's why I told you either here you can use Swagger or OpenAPI. It's up to you. And so we have the info, as you can inside here, we have version and title. And so now I'm going to add a description to our Swagger. I'm going to add a description. So let's say this is our demo videos. That's it, right? So now, so to go back, you have to refresh all of these things right here. All right, so I think that first we have initial already. So now next thing is you can set up the server. So we're gonna do server. Server right here is gonna be the array, because we can have like a local server or the let's say production server. So right here I'm gonna do HTTP / the route for our local. It's gonna be localhost 3000 and 3000. I cannot. Okay, and then we have a description again. So description right here, you can write anything. So I'm just okay. Local div. And if we go back and we refresh, and so right now we can see if I have one, so that's why we not be able to select. And I can just copy and paste this one again. Let's say I'm just changing this one to just productions, and this one is going to be productions div. I'm going to close this one, and we refresh again. So right now you can see we have be able to select and between two server. All right, so I think that's great. So the next thing is we can do is like to target our Swagger to target our route, our path to our user path. So what we can do is like have the path right here. This is gonna be an object. So I'm gonna do, let's say, so what right here we can do path user / user, and so what inside here we can do, let's say get. So we're gonna do get request, and for this get, I'm gonna do leave it blanks. Hopefully we can see the gets right here. There you go. So right now you can see we have this one, but we not have like the parameters or what it does, the description to it, and into this one. So let's write this one. So to go back into the reference, I'm gonna show you so that later you can learn how to do this on your own. Okay, we have the get right here. So you can see right here the tag. So we have like the tag right here. So what is that? So the tag right here is gonna group your route into one specific, let's say groups it. So you can see right here in this Swagger we have like a pet groups, and then we have store route, and like just route for everything that relate to pet, everything that relate to store. So we want to do that as well, right? If you go back in here, you can see our Swagger is like this one is default, so we don't want that. So to do that, you can create as a text, and for the text, it's gonna be array because we're gonna have multiple texts into this one. So you can name your text. So I'm gonna name this one as like a user, and we can have like a description about it. It's gonna be like a user route, something like that. Okay, so right now we go back, we refresh, and we have a user route, but we are not set any path to it yet. So that's why it's empty. So to do that, it's gonna be simple. For the get right here, gonna do like tags for this one. For the tag of this one is going to be and it's gonna be an array as well, because each of the tags okay, is gonna be an array, and we can call like name of our tags, which is the user right here. Okay, so you can see it's not to be much. So then if we go back right here, if we refresh, you can see right now the default is gone and our /user right here is under the user route. Perfect. So the next thing is we're gonna have like a description of our route. So you can see right here we have the description, and then we can try it out. And so to do so, we can give a description. So we get right here, I'm gonna get like the description is gonna be list all of the users. And so from this one, and then we're gonna have like the response. Like, so right now, if we go back, refresh, so you can see right here, we slowly getting it. So right now you can see, and if I try it out, there were probably nothing because we haven't write any response to it yet. So if you look at right here, this one is how you write the response. So we have to create the responses, and so it can be 200 or 400 depend on what happenings with your route. So let's do it. So right now we're gonna create the response for this one, and then we can do something like this, the responses. So first one is gonna be 200. So it's mean that, okay, this is like the status code that your API returned. And let's say I'm gonna do another description for this 200. It's like, okay. So you can give a different, so it's like sometimes it's unnecessary. It's not like mandatory to give the description here. It's just, okay, we wanted to, like, you know, if I go back in here, I can be able to read what is going on. So that's why it's up to you. So what is the content that we're gonna return? So depend on the API that you're gonna return. So our API is gonna return the application JSON. So basically we're gonna return JSON, right? And so we're gonna have a schema example of how your API is gonna return. So for example, let's say I'm gonna do like the schema is gonna be types, type of it is gonna be in objects. So if we go back into our routes user, so as you can see right here, our get user is gonna return like this JSON right here. So it's better to give the user the example of what they expect to see. So go back into our documentations and then type object, and now we're gonna have like the example. And so the example is going to be an array. It's going to be an object count. Let's say, for example, I'm going to do 1. And for the user is, I'm going to do empty. And then the count right here is going to be 0. Now we're going to update this one to be more useful. So right now, if we go back and we refresh. So you can see right here, right now we have like 200 is okay. And this is the type return type of ours. This is the example that we can expect from this API. So let's try it out. Right now I try to execute. So you can see right here, this is the response that make to our API. And all right, this is what it look like. Okay, that's pretty much it. That's good. This one is good for our get API. And all right, so I think that's pretty much it for our get. So, but look, right now it feels like this one is going to be messy, right? So if you're doing this one, it's going to be so messy, and which is, if you imagine if you have 10 routes, you're not going to want to put all in one documentation right here. So it's a better way is that, okay, you have your route, you follow your route, and then you can create like a user.swaggers.js or swagger.doc is up to you. Like I'm going to do like doc.js. And for this one, I'm gonna import everything that we write in here related to the user route. So So I'm going to copy everything. And then I'm going to do it right here. It's wrong. And because we do this one wrong. Okay. So for this, we're going to create an object, wrap into this one, create a variable called user docs. Let's say user browse docs, something like this. So you can see, there you go. And then for this one, for get a request, so we can create another one and create, let's say, const get user. Or okay, list user, something like that. Okay, it's gonna be equal to this one, and then for this list user, you can use it right over here. And then for this one, we're gonna export this one. So module.export is gonna be equal user docs, and go back into the documentations. We can just spread our user doc. Yeah, this one. Okay, let's see. Okay, we import the right things. And if we go back right here, right now everything is just still work the same things. So I'm import this one. It look good. Very nice. This one I'm gonna copy this one just to go back into our user doc. So I'm gonna update rather than the empty user right here. I can create a just const users is gonna be equal to one of the value that we have in here, because this is gonna be the user record, right? Okay, oops, I delete too much. Okay, so now I can, instead of the empty array, I can do like, array of users. So we can do just, okay, we can do just something like this as well. And then we can do users, and then we count this one. And if we go back, we refresh. Right now, this is the example that we can expect it. It will look something like this. Okay. So right now, that's good for our this one. Let's do another one. Is gonna be post. So post, this one is gonna be let's say I'm gonna create one. It's gonna be create user. Okay. So we can try to count right here. Create user is gonna be equal to this one. So for this is going to be the same things. So first is going to be like the text for the, we want to group this one. And then you can try to description. So create user, create a user. And for this one, for post, when we do post request, so if we go back, if I refresh, so right now we need to send a body to it, right? So because we have to send the data to the API, so in order to read. So for that, we need to have so we're gonna have a request body. That a request body is gonna be, content of it is gonna be the application.json. So I'm gonna just copy this one, application.json. And inside here is gonna have like a schema as well. The schema of the things that we're gonna send to in our request. Is the type of it is gonna be an object, and so it's gonna have like a property. So it's gonna be property, and for this property it's gonna be name. So why it's name? Because it depends on your API. If you go back into this post user right here, we expect you to send something like, name something like this one. That's why we can reuse this one. So it depend on your API. So post it can be like password or something. You can use it right here. So the type is gonna be strings. And then for description of this one, you can have a description or not. It's like names of the users, and you can have the examples. So the example is gonna be David. Okay. So for this one, so right now it's great. If we refresh, if we go come back, and you can see right now we have this request body, and let's try it out. So try this one, and then you execute. So which is have nothing in return. So we need to have the response. So don't forget about it. So we have the request body. So the next thing is we're gonna have the responses. So I'm gonna copy this one. Basically, it's gonna be similar. And 200 OK. We're gonna return this one. So when we post, let's see what happened if I try to post a new user. What's gonna return back to me? So it's gonna return something this back like to me. So I'm gonna copy this one. Go back to our user doc right here. And then instead of this one, we can examples is gonna be object. It's gonna be like user index 0 because as you can see right here, this is an array, right? So let's go back, refresh one more time. So as you can see right here, we have the request body, what we expect you to send us, and also this is the example of the response. But actually this one, if you let's say if you change something here, it still works. Why is that? Because this is not gonna prevent you like or do the validation. This is just a documentation. User might just to change it, but like I said, this is just a documentation. If you want to restrict this, you have to do another way. I have another video that focuses on writing the Express API with TypeScript, so you can go ahead and check that video. I'll leave the link in the description as well. All right. So now as you can see, everything is good for post and get user. All right, so we have two more routes. So as you can see right here, we have the post get user list all the user already. So the next thing is we have create one more route that is gonna get find the user by its ID, but it's gonna use the query instead of like the pass. So like get user by query ID, something like this one. Okay, so let's do that. So go back into our user docs. And so for this one, we can have like something user. So it's gonna be /users /90. So for this one, we're gonna do get request, and we can just create one get user by query ID. Okay, and we haven't created yet, so let's do that. Okay, so for this one, basically it's the same thing. So we can copy this one, and then we're gonna have our descriptions. For this one, it's gonna be like get users by their ID. Oops, I think I misspelled by their IDs, but we can summary this one. There's a field, one more field is going to be called summary that we haven't talked yet. So for this one, if you can if I refresh this one, so it's like the summary that happened appear here. So if the description is like you have to open to see what it's like, but the summary is going to appear on this one right here. So now we have this one, but for the query, the user need to send some information as well, right? So for that, we need to create the parameters that the users need going to send it to us. So instead of post, we're gonna do request body, but for the get, we just get the param. So if you look at our API, right here, we can have like request.query. It is a parameter. It's not like request body. Okay. So for this, we're gonna have our params. And our param is going to be an array. And then we're going to have our name. So the name is going to be an ID. Why it's ID? Because this is what we use in our API, right? So you can see right here, our API is like request.query. That's why we're using this one. Okay. So we have our names, and we're going to do where is it? Is it in the pass or in the query? So we're going to use query. So for this route, we're going to do query. And we can do the descriptions. So it can be anything. It's like, what is that? It's ID of the user. So make sure you have like, you say what it does. and the type of it is going to be what, strings. And then the example, you can give them the example. So for the example, you know, just the ID of it right here. So I can just using this one and do it right here. Okay. And there you go. So right now, if we're refreshing this one, so right now you can see we have one field that allow us to try it out. And with this information, when we execute, it's nothing because we need the response. Okay, the response is going to be the same thing. So you can see I can just copy the response right here. And then we can just paste this one. And if we refresh, so you can see this is what it looked like. So I'm gonna try it out. Let's try it. So there you go. So since we have the user, so if we did not have the user, I'm gonna do 1, and for 4 we got 404 not found because the user not found. So we can create this route right here for the 404 as well. So if we, let's say, refresh, we cancel this one. So you can see we have only status 200. That's gonna display something like this to us. But if you know for a fact that your route is going to return something else, you can write it. So if we go back in here, our route right here is going to return status 404, with this one. So for that, we can just, let's go back here. Okay. So we can't, do like 404. And then with the descriptions of this one is going to be like a user is not found, something like this one. So you have more status, you can just do something dumb to it right here. Okay. Okay, so for now, if we refresh right here, so right now we have one more status, it's gonna be 444. Okay, that's pretty much it. So we're gonna implement one more for our last route. So this is the route. So for this route, what we can do is gonna be we're not gonna put under this one. It's similar to this one, but it is gonna be look something like this: an ID and get user by, let's say, pass ID. Okay. So this is a pass. This is for query. So I'm gonna copy. Actually, it's gonna be the similar thing to this one. I can just copy and paste this one. And then we can replace this one. Tag is going to be user, and we're going to change a little bit of thing. It's going to be path, and the descriptions by the ID. So this one, rather than query, we can do it in path instead. And basically everything is going to be exactly the same things. Right now, if I'm refreshing this one, we having this one. Let's try to create this user with this ID. Okay, so right now we have this user with this ID, and if I do want, so there you go. So this is what it's look like between pass and query. So you can see when we make requests, the ID is on the pass. But if we do with this one, when I try it out, the ID right here, you can see we have a question mark right here. That is from the query. So I think that this is pretty much it of what for this one. For this video, it's just getting started on how to do it, and I'm gonna do it another video for more in depth for this one. So we have like some like enum, or for the security for OS like JSON Web Token or something like that. And for this one, you can try to make it better. So right now I'm kind of like duplicated things. So you can see some response is going to be exactly the same. So I know you can do better. So for this video, just to show you how to get started for this one. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And so the last thing I want to say is that you can go ahead and try check this one and try this on your own. Let's say for put and for delete and something like that, and try to read from here. So you can see basically what I do right here is going to be much exactly the same as we did for this one right here. All right, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you like this one, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, so see you guys in the next video. Peace.